Hey you guys, it's Moonlander back with another horror movie review, and today we're going to be looking at a movie from the UK called The Lord of Tears.
Hereby appoint my son as sole executor of my will, as well as the estate at Baldarach.
And this movie is directed by a guy named Laurie Brewster, and he's a pretty new director. And from what I understand, this movie was crowdfunded, and so are, I guess, his movies that he's made after this one. And I thought that was interesting. So this movie is about a school teacher, played by Ewan Douglas, who finds out that his mother has passed away and he has inherited a property, and it's a house that he hasn't lived in since he was a child. And apparently he had some sort of mental breakdown when he was living in this house growing up, and he kind of has suppressed memories about living there. So he decides to go back to the house so he can confront his past. And upon arriving at the house, he meets a young woman that's living in a converted stable house who apparently works the property in some way. But it's not long into the movie that you see that he's haunted by this owl man in his dreams. And he finds pictures he drew as a child of this owl man. And after he comes back as an adult, the owl man starts appearing to him. And it doesn't matter if it's night or day, he'll see the owl man. Okay, there's a lot of things that I liked about this movie, and the first thing I liked about this movie was the intro during the opening credits. I thought was awesome. It was a bunch of different cuts kind of setting up the atmosphere and setting of the movie. And then it had a retro feel to it, like the text for the title of the movie looked retro, and I really liked it. I thought it was cool, and I started to get the impression that I was gonna like this movie just from like the first couple minutes of it. And I think that the house where they filmed this was a good location. It fit perfectly into the story, and apparently if you wanted to, you could rent this house in the Scottish foothills. And I definitely like the way this guy made this movie. It definitely has a particular style to it. There's a lot of quick shots, and you can tell he has his own style. It's not just your basic kind of movie. I would be really interested into seeing who his influences are. And one of the biggest things that I like about this movie is, while it doesn't have a budget listed on IMDb, I can't imagine it was very big at all. And it didn't have that many people in it, but the actors in it I thought did a really good job. And you can tell it has a really low production value, and I think they did a really good job for the budget they had. Most movies where you get that feeling where the production value is like way too low, they usually are almost unwatchable, And this one was above it. In another great part of the movie, one of the characters was the young woman he meets at the house, played by Alexandra Nicole Hume. And her character was just really charming, and she has a couple of really strange scenes. There's one in particular where she's like dancing in slow motion, and towards the end, I don't want to spoil the movie, but I mean, you get hints of it right away. But there was a part, the main character, like becomes infatuated with her pretty quickly, and it's not hard to see why. I mean, she definitely, it's almost like a too good to be true kind of situation. Like, this woman's, just a lovely, charming woman, and she's just a joy to be around. And the main character was pretty charming as well. I liked his character. He just seemed like a real nice guy, and he was a believable character. Now, for things that I didn't like about this movie, the Owlman costume, I thought could have been a little better. I mean, they did a pretty good job, but it looks a little, it could have been a little more scary if it had a little better job done with the costume on the Owlman. Yeah, and I should also say, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people didn't like this movie. And in the movie, it was very stylized. It had a gothic sort of feel to it. And, it was very atmospheric, but, it seemed more to like a particular taste, and I mean, for me it was good, but I'm not sure a lot of people would like it. And my wife did fall asleep, and she found the female character to be annoying, which I thought, she was pretty cool, and I could see why this guy was like infatuated with her. So my final thoughts on this movie is, it is like one of the best like low production value movies I have ever seen. I really enjoyed it, and I think it deserves extra credit, because if they had a better budget, who knows what they could have done and what success this movie would have had. I really look forward to seeing what this guy does in the future. And he has a new movie on Amazon called The Unkindness of Ravens, and it has an even higher IMDb rating. And I did rent it, but when I was reading about it, I decided I wanted to watch this movie first, because it sounds like they made quite a few improvements, and I imagine they probably got a bigger budget to make a movie with. I really did enjoy this movie, and I would suggest it, but I don't know, maybe watch the trailer first and see if it looks good, because I could see it being not, some people might think it was boring or not scary, but for me it was. So I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. And, so, if you need a movie to watch, this might be the one. Alright, you guys, I'll see you on the next review.